Chapter 1: The Silent Wolf. Mira hadn't spoken a word in 5 years. Not since the attack that killed her parents and left her with scars, both visible and invisible. The pack healers said there was nothing physically wrong with her vocal cords. The trauma had simply locked her voice away, and no amount of therapy or healing could bring it back. "Mira, please try," her older sister Celeste begged for the 100th time. "Just one word. Anything." Mira shook her head, signing the response she'd given countless times: "I can't." At 22, Mira communicated entirely through sign language and written notes. Most of the Aurora pack had learned to understand her basic signs, though many found it frustrating. In a world where werewolves valued strength and dominance, often expressed through powerful voices and commanding presence, Mira's silence marked her as weak. Even her wolf was silent. Most werewolves could communicate telepathically in wolf form through the pack link. But Mira's wolf, like her human self, couldn't project thoughts. She could hear others, but couldn't respond. It was like being trapped behind soundproof glass, able to see and hear the world, but never truly part of it. "The pack meeting starts in an hour," Celeste said, checking her phone. "Alpha Rowan wants everyone there. Apparently, we're hosting the Shadow Moon Pack for alliance negotiations." Mira's stomach clenched. Pack meetings were difficult. Large crowds, lots of noise, people getting frustrated when she couldn't immediately respond to questions. She pulled out her phone and typed, "Do I have to go?" "You're part of this pack, Mira." "Yes, you have to go." Celeste's tone softened. "I'll stay close. I promise." The Aurora pack's meeting hall was packed with wolves of all ranks. Mira found a spot in the back corner where she could observe without being in the way. She'd learned to make herself small, invisible, unnoticed. Alpha Rowan stood at the front, his commanding presence demanding attention. "As you all know, we've been negotiating a territorial alliance with Shadow Moon Pack. Their Alpha Kade Thorne and his delegation arrived today. I expect everyone to be on their best behavior." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Shadow Moon was one of the most powerful packs in the region, known for their fierce warriors and strategic leadership. "They'll be staying for a week while we finalize terms," Alpha Rowan continued. "Show them Aurora pack hospitality." Dismissed. As wolves began filing out, Mira felt it, a pull, like invisible threads tugging at her chest. Her wolf, usually silent and dormant, suddenly surged to attention with an intensity that made Mira gasp. "Mate," her wolf whispered, the first word she'd spoken in years. "Mate is here." Mira's eyes scanned the crowd frantically. "Where? Who?" Then she saw him. He stood near the entrance, clearly part of the visiting delegation. Tall, easily 6'5", with broad shoulders and a presence that commanded the room without effort. His hair was dark, almost black, with a slight wave that suggested he'd run his fingers through it recently. Sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, and eyes that glowed amber even in human form. And he was staring directly at her. Kade Thorne, Alpha of Shadow Moon Pack, crossed the room with purposeful strides that made other wolves instinctively move out of his way. Mira's heart hammered as he stopped directly in front of her. "You," he said, his voice deep and rough like whiskey and smoke. "What's your name?" Mira's hands moved to sign her response, but Kade's beta, a stern-looking man with gray at his temples, interrupted. "Alpha, we need to review the terms before." "I asked her a question," Kade said, never taking his eyes off Mira. "Your name?" Mira pulled out her phone with trembling fingers and typed, "Mira Ashford." "I can't speak." Kade took the phone, read the message, and handed it back. "Can't or won't?" "Can't. I'm mute." Something flickered in those amber eyes, understanding, not pity. "Your wolf. Can she speak through the pack link?" Mira shook her head. "Interesting." Kade tilted his head, studying her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. "Mira Ashford, do you know what you are to me?" Mira's wolf was howling now, desperate and joyful. But Mira herself was terrified. She nodded slowly. "Say it," Kade commanded, then immediately winced. "Sorry. Show me. Tell me. However you communicate, tell me what you know." Myra's fingers flew across her phone. You're my mate. And you're mine. Kade's hand reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her cheek with surprising gentleness. I've been searching for you for 10 years. I'd almost given up hope. And here you are, in the last place I expected to find you. Through the mate bond that was forming between them, Mira felt his emotions, overwhelming relief, fierce protectiveness, and something that felt like coming home after a long journey. But she also felt her own panic rising. He was an alpha. He'd need a Luna who could speak at pack meetings, who could command respect, who could communicate with pack members through the link. Everything she couldn't do. I can't be what you need, she typed frantically. Kade read the message and his expression softened. You don't know what I need. Let me figure that out. He glanced at his beta. Marcus, handle the preliminary negotiations. I need to talk to my mate. But Alpha, that's in order. Kade led Mira to a quiet garden behind the meeting hall. They sat on a stone bench, and for a long moment, neither moved. Then Kade spoke. Tell me about yourself. However you're comfortable. Mira pulled out her phone and began typing. The story poured out, the attack 5 years ago, the trauma that stole her voice, the isolation of being unable to communicate like other wolves, the loneliness of having a silent wolf. Kade listened to everything, reading each message carefully, his expression growing darker with each revelation. The wolves who attacked your family, he said quietly. Were they caught? No. They were rogues. Disappeared after the attack. I'm sorry. Kade's hand found hers, threading their fingers together. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry you've been alone. But you're not alone anymore, Mira. You have a mate now. And I promise you, I will never make you feel less than because you communicate differently. But you're an alpha. You need a Luna who can speak, who can use the pack link, who can lead. I need a Luna who's my mate. Everything else, we'll figure out together. Kade squeezed her hand. I know this is overwhelming. I know you probably have 1,000 doubts. But will you give us a chance? Get to know me this week while I'm here. Then decide if you want to accept the mate bond or reject it. Myra's wolf was screaming at her to accept immediately. But her human side was scared, uncertain. 1 week, she typed. I'll give us 1 week. Kade's smile transformed his face from intimidating to devastating. That's all I ask. Over the next few days, Kade proved he meant what he said. He learned sign language with startling speed, picking up the basics within 24 hours and improving rapidly. He never showed frustration when Mira needed to type longer responses. He included her in conversations with his pack members, making sure everyone understood to wait for her written responses. Most surprisingly, he seemed genuinely interested in understanding her unique perspective. You notice things others miss, he said on the 3rd day as they walked through the forest. Because you can't rely on verbal communication, you read body language better than any wolf I've met. You caught that lie from Councilman Peters yesterday before anyone else did. Mira had indeed noticed the councilman's nervous fidgeting and the way his eyes darted left when discussing trade agreements. She'd passed Kade a note, and he'd pressed the issue until Peters admitted to inflating numbers. People forget I'm watching, Mira typed. They say things they wouldn't if they thought I could respond. That's incredibly valuable for an alpha to have a Luna who sees what others miss. Kade stopped walking, turning to face her. You're not broken, Mira. You're different. And different can be a strength. For the first time in 5 years, Mira felt a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, she could be enough. On the 5th day, disaster struck. Mira was in the pack library when she smelled smoke. She ran toward the source and found the kitchen engulfed in flames and heard a child crying inside. Without thinking, Mira shifted into her silver wolf and ran into the burning building. The smoke was thick, the heat intense, but she followed the sound of crying to find a young pup trapped behind a collapsed shelf. Mira's wolf form was small, but that meant she could squeeze into spaces larger wolves couldn't. She grabbed the pup gently by the scruff and navigated back through the flames, her fur singed and lungs burning. She emerged from the building just as it collapsed behind her, the pup safe in her jaws. The pack erupted in chaos. Healers rushing forward, firefighters tackling the blaze, parents crying in relief as they took their rescued child. And Kade, running toward Mira with terror and pride warring in his eyes. "Are you insane?" he demanded, shifting to human form and pulling her into his arms. She shifted too, coughing from the smoke. "You could have died." Mira couldn't respond, her lungs too raw even to type. "She saved my son," the pup's father said, tears streaming down his face. "She ran into a burning building without hesitation. She's a hero." The pack members who'd witnessed the rescue nodded, their expressions changing from their usual pity to genuine respect. "That was the bravest thing I've ever seen," a warrior named Drake said. "Silent or not, she's got more courage than most wolves twice her size." That night, after the healers had treated her burns and smoke inhalation, Mira lay in the medical wing staring at the ceiling. Her throat was raw, her skin tender, but her heart felt lighter than it had in years. Kade sat beside her bed, holding her hand. "When I saw you run into that building," he said quietly, "I felt my heart stop. The mate bond isn't even complete yet, and the thought of losing you already terrifies me." Mira reached for her phone with her free hand. "I couldn't let the pup die." "I know. That's who you are, someone who acts when others hesitate. Someone brave enough to run into fire." Kade's thumb traced circles on her palm. "Mira, I know this week isn't over yet, but I need to tell you something." She waited. "I love you. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But when you know, you know. And I know that you're my mate, my future, my everything. Whether you can speak or not doesn't matter. Your actions speak louder than any words could." Tears streamed down Mira's face as she typed with shaking fingers. "I love you too. I'm scared, but I love you." "Then be scared with me. We'll figure it out together." Kade leaned forward, his forehead touching hers. "Come back to Shadow Moon with me. Be my Luna. Let me spend the rest of my life showing you that you're perfect exactly as you are." Mira's wolf was howling with joy. And for once, her human side agreed. She nodded. Chapter 2. The Silent Luna. Mira said goodbye to Celeste with tears in her eyes, both women crying as they hugged. "Are you sure?" Celeste sighed, even as she smiled through her tears. "You don't have to leave. You could stay here, and he could visit." "I'm sure," Mira signed back. Asterisk, he's my mate. I want to be with him. Then I'm happy for you. Just call me. Text me. Let me know you're okay. Always. The drive to Shadow Moon territory took 6 hours. Kade drove while Mira sat in the passenger seat, watching the landscape change from the familiar forests of Aurora territory to the mountains of Shadow Moon. "Nervous?" Kade asked, glancing at her. Mira nodded. "The pack knows about you. About your unique communication style. I've made it clear that anyone who disrespects you answers to me personally." His hand found hers. "You're going to be amazing, Mira. They'll love you. What if they don't? Then they're fools. But they won't be. You saved a pup from a burning building after knowing the pack for less than a week. That's the kind of Luna they need, someone who puts others first, who acts with courage, who leads by example rather than just words." Shadow Moon's pack house was massive, a sprawling estate built into the mountainside with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered breathtaking views. Wolves gathered in the courtyard as Kade's vehicle pulled up, curious to meet their new Luna. "Ready?" Kade asked. Mira took a deep breath and nodded. They emerged together, and Mira felt hundreds of eyes on her. She was small compared to most werewolves, barely 5'4", and she knew she looked young and fragile in her simple jeans and sweater. "Everyone," Kade's alpha command rang out. "This is Mira, my mate and your new Luna. She communicates through sign language and written text. You will learn to understand her, and you will treat her with the respect due to your Luna. Is that clear?" A chorus of "Yes, Alpha" rang out. Marcus, Kade's beta, stepped forward. "Luna Mira, welcome to Shadow Moon. We're honored to have you." Mira signed her thanks, and Marcus clearly had no idea what she'd said. She pulled out her phone. "Thank you for welcoming me. I look forward to getting to know everyone." Marcus read the message and smiled. "The honor is ours, Luna." Over the next few weeks, Mira settled into pack life. It was challenging. She had to learn new faces, new routines, new expectations. But Kade was patient, supportive, and absolutely devoted. He hired a sign language teacher to work with the entire pack leadership. He had a special phone and tablet system installed so Mira could easily communicate during meetings. He made sure every pack member understood that questions or concerns could be brought to Luna Mira just as easily as to Alpha Kade. She just answered differently. And slowly, miraculously, it worked. Mira discovered that her inability to speak actually gave her unique advantages as Luna. Wolves would open up to her in ways they didn't with others, perhaps because her silence felt less judgmental. She could observe pack dynamics without her own commentary influencing what she saw. She caught lies and tensions that others missed because she was always watching, always reading body language. "You're incredible," Kade told her one night as they lay in bed. "Do you know what Marcus said today?" Mira shook her head. "He said you're the most perceptive Luna he's ever worked with. That you see straight through pack politics to the heart of issues. That you've resolved more conflicts in a month than our last Luna did in years." "I just pay attention," Mira typed. "You do more than that. You care. You see people, really see them. And they feel it." Kade pulled her close. "I am so proud to call you my mate." 3 months into her time at Shadow Moon, Mira was meeting with the pack's Omegas when she noticed something odd. Several Omegas had bruises they tried to hide, and they all flinched when a particular warrior named Garrett walked by. Mira started paying closer attention. She watched Garrett during training, during meals, during pack events. And she saw it, the way he intimidated smaller wolves, the subtle threats, the abuse of power. She compiled evidence carefully. Photographs of bruises, written statements from frightened Omegas, observations of Garrett's behavior. Then she presented everything to Kade. His fury was immediate and absolute. "I'll handle this," he said, his eyes glowing amber with his wolf's rage. Mira grabbed his arm, shaking her head. She typed, "Let me handle it." "Mira, I found the evidence. I gained their trust. Let me address the pack. You can enforce the punishment, but let me show them that their Luna sees them, protects them, stands up for them." Kade studied her for a long moment. "Are you sure?" Mira nodded. The pack meeting that evening was tense. Garrett stood at the front, confident and unaware of what was coming. Mira stood beside Kade, her tablet connected to a large screen behind them. "Pack," Kade began. "Your Luna has something to address." All eyes turned to Mira. She'd never addressed the full pack before. Had never put herself at the center of attention like this. Her hands shook as she began typing, her words appearing on the large screen. "Being unable to speak has taught me to watch, to observe, to see what others might miss. And I have seen something that cannot be ignored." The screen switched to display photographs of bruised Omegas, their injuries documented with clinical precision. "These are members of our pack. Wolves who should be protected, valued, safe. Instead, they have been abused by someone who is trusted with power." Garrett's confident expression faltered. "Warrior Garrett has been systematically intimidating and harming our Omega members. I have statements from 7 different wolves. I have photographic evidence. And I will not allow this to continue." The pack erupted in angry murmurs. Garrett tried to protest, but Kade silenced him with a growl. "A Luna's job is to protect all pack members," Mira's text continued. "Not just the strong. Not just the warriors. Everyone. And I promise you, every single one of you, that I see you. I hear you. And I will always stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves." The Omega section of the pack, wolves who'd been too scared to speak up, looked at Mira with tears streaming down their faces. One stood and started clapping. Then another. Then the entire Omega section was on their feet, applauding their Luna who had no voice, but had roared for them anyway. The rest of the pack joined in, the applause thunderous. Kade handled Garrett's punishment, exile from Shadow Moon, his warrior status stripped. But everyone knew it was Luna Mira who had brought justice. That night, Kade held Mira close, both of them overwhelmed by emotion. "You are the most powerful Luna I've ever known," he whispered. "Not despite your silence, but because of everything it's taught you. You see people. You protect people. You love people in a way that words could never express. I was so scared, Mira typed. Scared to stand up in front of everyone. But you did it anyway. That's what courage is, being scared and doing it anyway. Kade kissed her forehead. I am so lucky. So incredibly lucky to have you as my mate. Mira smiled and typed, I'm the lucky one. Chapter 3. The Luna's Voice. 6 months after arriving at Shadow Moon, Mira's life had transformed in ways she'd never imagined. She was a respected Luna, a beloved leader, and happier than she'd ever been. But her wolf was restless. Mate bond incomplete, her wolf whispered sometimes. Need to complete bond. Need to mark mate. Mira knew what it meant. She and Kade had been taking things slowly, getting to know each other, building trust. But eventually, true mates needed to complete the bond through marking, a permanent claiming that would bind them for life. The thought terrified Mira. Not because she didn't want Kade, she loved him desperately. But the marking ceremony was traditionally accompanied by vows spoken aloud. How could she participate in a ceremony built around words she couldn't say? You're worried about something, Kade observed one evening. They were in their private quarters, and he could read her moods easily now. Mira nodded and typed, the marking ceremony. I can't speak the vows. So we'll change the ceremony. We'll create our own vows, ones you can sign or write. The moon goddess doesn't care about specific words, Mira. She cares about the commitment, the love, the bond. The pack expects traditional vows. The pack will get over it. This is about us, not them. Kade pulled her into his lap, his arms wrapping around her waist. What do you want, Mira? Forget everyone else. What would make you happy? Mira thought about it. Then she typed, I want to mark you. I want to complete our bond. I want to be yours completely. Then that's what we'll do. And however you want to do it, that's how we'll do it. They planned the ceremony for the next full moon. Mira worked with the pack's elder to create modified vows. Words she could sign while Kade spoke them aloud, a partnership of silence and sound. The night before the ceremony, Mira had a dream. She was in a moonlit forest, and standing before her was a woman of impossible beauty, silver hair, glowing white eyes, radiating power that made Mira's wolf bow in reverence. Do you know who I am? The woman asked. Mira nodded. The moon goddess herself. My child, you have been tested by silence and emerged stronger. You have learned to speak without words, to lead without voice, to love without limitation. And now I offer you a gift. The goddess touched Mira's throat, and warmth spread through her. Your voice was never truly gone, only hidden, waiting for you to no longer need it to be whole. When you wake, you will have a choice. You may speak again if you wish. But know this, your silence has shaped you, taught you, made you the Luna your pack needs. Whatever you choose, you are perfect. Mira woke with tears streaming down her face and a strange sensation in her throat. She opened her mouth experimentally and whispered, hello. The word came out rough, unpracticed, but real. Kade bolted upright beside her. Did you just? I can speak, Mira said, her voice hoarse from 5 years of disuse. The moon goddess, she gave me my voice back. Kade's expression was pure wonder. Say something else. Anything. I love you, Mira whispered. I love you, Kade Thorne. My mate. My alpha. My everything. Kade pulled her into a fierce embrace, both of them crying now. Your voice. God, Mira, your voice is beautiful. They held each other as the sun rose, processing the miracle they'd been given. But as the day went on, Mira realized something. Her voice had returned, yes. But she didn't need it anymore. She'd built a life, a leadership style, a way of connecting with her pack that didn't rely on speech. At the marking ceremony that night, the entire pack gathered under the full moon. Mira stood before them in a simple white dress, Kade in traditional ceremonial attire. Elder Thomas began the ceremony. We gather tonight to witness the completion of the mate bond between Alpha Kade and Luna Mira. Who speaks for the Alpha? I do, Kade said, his voice carrying across the assembled pack. Mira, from the moment I met you, I knew you were my destiny. Your strength, your courage, your compassion. These are the qualities I admire most. You have taught me that power comes in many forms, that leadership isn't about volume but about impact, that love transcends all limitations. He paused, giving Mira time for her response. The pack waited, expecting her to use her tablet as usual. Instead, Mira spoke aloud. The pack gasped. Kade's eyes widened in shock. They'd kept her returned voice secret, wanting to surprise everyone. I accept you as my mate, Mira said, her voice soft but clear. I mark you before the moon goddess and this pack. You are mine as I am yours, from this day until our last day. But then Mira did something unexpected. She continued in sign language, her hands moving with fluid grace while her sister Celeste, who'd come for the ceremony, translated aloud. But I want the pack to know, my voice returned, but I choose to use both speech and signs. Because my silence taught me things I never want to forget. It taught me to watch, to listen truly, to see what others miss. It taught me that communication is about connection, not just words. So I will speak when needed, but I will also sign, write, and communicate in all the ways I've learned. The pack listened, many with tears in their eyes. My Luna, Kade said, his own voice thick with emotion. My perfect, incredible Luna. They marked each other then, Mira's canines sinking into Kade's neck, his into hers. The mate bond completed with a flash of golden light, and through it, Mira felt everything, Kade's overwhelming love, his fierce pride, his absolute certainty that she was his perfect match. And for the first time, her wolf could speak through the pack link. Pack, her voice echoed in every wolf's mind. Thank you for accepting me, for learning my language, for showing me that family isn't about being the same, it's about loving each other's differences. The pack held their acceptance, the sound echoing off the mountains. Chapter 4. Roaring for What Matters. 1 year after their mating ceremony, Mira had fully grown into her role as Luna. She spoke when needed, but still primarily used sign language and written communication with pack members who'd learned to understand her. Her unique leadership style had become Shadow Moon's strength. Other packs sought her advice on conflict resolution, on reading pack dynamics, on creating inclusive communities. But their greatest challenge was yet to come. The Council of Alphas called a mandatory meeting to address a proposed law. All Lunas must be able to communicate through the pack link to hold their position. It was aimed at ensuring pack safety during emergencies, but it would effectively strip Mira of her title. Her wolf could speak through the link now, but she still struggled with it, her voice often faint or unclear. They can't do this, Kade raged after reading the proposal. This is discrimination. They can, Mira signed calmly. The council has the authority to set standards for pack leadership. But it's targeting you specifically. Everyone knows this is because some of the old guard alphas don't approve of a Luna who is mute. Then I'll fight it. But not with anger, with truth. The council meeting was held in neutral territory, with every alpha and Luna in the region in attendance. Mira and Kade sat among them, waiting for the proposal to be presented. Alpha Garrett, no relation to the warrior Mira had expelled, stood to speak. The role of Luna is critical for pack safety. In emergencies, the Luna must be able to communicate instantly with all pack members through the link. This proposed law simply ensures that all Lunas meet this minimum requirement. Several alphas nodded in agreement. Any opposition? The council elder asked. Kade stood, but Mira touched his arm. Let me, she signed. She walked to the front of the room, her small frame dwarfed by the imposing alphas around her. But she stood tall, confident in who she was. Mira spoke aloud, her voice clear and strong. I am Luna Mira of Shadow Moon Pack. 1 year ago, I couldn't speak at all. My wolf couldn't use the pack link. By your proposed law, I would have been unqualified to be Luna. She paused, letting that sink in. In that year, I have identified and stopped a warrior who was abusing Omega Pack members. Resolved a territorial dispute with the Northern Ridge Pack through diplomatic observation that prevented bloodshed. Increased our pack's economic prosperity by 40% through careful analysis of trade agreements. established a mentorship program that reduced conflicts among young wolves by 60%, and earned the trust and loyalty of every single member of my pack. Mira's eyes swept the room. I did all of this while communicating primarily through sign language and written text. Yes, I can speak now. The moon goddess gifted me my voice back. And yes, my wolf can use the pack link, though it's difficult. But I didn't need these abilities to be an effective Luna. I needed compassion, intelligence, courage, and the ability to truly see my pack members. She turned to face Alpha Garrett directly. This law isn't about pack safety. It's about conformity. It's about punishing those who are different. And it sends a message to every wolf in every pack who doesn't fit the traditional mold. You are less than. You are not enough. Mira's hands moved now, signing as she spoke, her sister translating for emphasis. I was a mute, traumatized wolf who couldn't use the pack link. I am now a Luna who has transformed her pack and helped reshape how we think about leadership. If you pass this law, you tell wolves like I was that they have no place in pack leadership. You tell them their differences are weaknesses rather than strengths. She faced the council elder directly. I ask you to vote against this proposal. Not because I need to keep my position, I can meet your requirements now. But because the next wolf who can't might be exactly what their pack needs. Leadership isn't one size fits all. And the day we forget that is the day we stop growing, evolving, and becoming better. Mira returned to her seat beside Kade, who looked at her with pure pride and love. The vote was called. The room held its breath. The proposal was defeated. After the meeting, several Lunas approached Mira, including some who'd voted against the law after hearing her speak. You changed my mind, Luna Catherine of the Mountain Peak Pack admitted. I had voted yes in the preliminary poll. But you're right. My own daughter can't use the pack link due to a birth defect. This law would have told her she could never be Luna. Thank you for standing up. Over the next few months, Mira's speech at the council became legendary. It sparked a broader conversation about diversity in pack leadership, about recognizing different forms of strength, about creating space for wolves who communicated or led differently. Mira established the Silent Voices Initiative, a network supporting wolves with communication differences, providing resources, training, and advocacy. Other packs adopted her model for inclusive leadership. 2 years after arriving at Shadow Moon, Mira stood on the pack house balcony watching the sunset. Kade wrapped his arms around her from behind, his chin resting on her head. What are you thinking about? He asked. How different everything is from 2 years ago, Mira said aloud, though she also signed it. She'd kept her promise to use both forms of communication. I was so lost, so convinced I was broken. And now? Now I know I was never broken. Just different. And different can change the world. Kade turned her to face him. You know what tomorrow is? Mira smiled. The anniversary of the day we met. 2 years since I walked into that pack meeting and found my mate. The best day of my life. Kade's hand moved to rest on Mira's still flat stomach. And this year, we're celebrating with some news. Mira had found out just that morning. She was pregnant, expecting their first pup. Are you happy? I'm terrified and thrilled and so happy. Kade kissed her softly. Whatever abilities our pup has or doesn't have, they'll be perfect. Because they're ours. And they'll grow up knowing that there's no one right way to be a wolf, Mira added. That differences are gifts. That silence can speak volumes. Through their completed mate bond, Mira felt Kade's overwhelming love and pride. And through the pack link, faint but clear. She heard the pack's mental celebration as news of their future alpha heir spread. Congratulations, Luna. The pack is blessed. We love you, Luna Mira. Mira sent back her own message through the link, her voice soft but certain. I love you all too. Thank you for accepting me. For learning my language. For showing me that family means celebrating our differences, not erasing them. As the sun set over Shadow Moon territory, Mira reflected on her journey. She'd been the silent wolf no one expected to become Luna. She'd been told her differences were weaknesses, that she'd never be enough. But she'd proven that strength comes in many forms. That leadership isn't about volume, it's about impact. That sometimes the quietest voice can roar the loudest when it speaks for what matters. She'd been born without a voice. She'd found it again. And then she'd chosen to use all the languages at her disposal: speech, signs, writing, observation, empathy, because each one had something unique to offer. Her wolf had only spoken to him at first, just to Kade, just to her mate. But now her wolf spoke to everyone who needed to hear. You're enough. Your differences are strengths. Your silence can be powerful. And the world listened. The end. From silent to powerful, from broken to whole, from outcast to beloved leader, Mira's journey reminds us that communication is about connection, not just words. That leadership comes in many forms. That our differences aren't weaknesses to overcome but strengths to celebrate. And that sometimes the quietest person in the room has the most important message of all.